Most people believe something that sounds completely responsible. If you want to be financially safe, you should save money, spend less, avoid debt, be disciplined. And on the surface, that makes perfect sense. But here's the uncomfortable truth. In modern economies, that strategy alone often doesn't move you forward. In many cases, it slowly holds you in place. And once you see why, you start looking at money very differently. Let's make this real. Imagine someone named Daniel. He does everything he's been told is right. He works a stable job, he earns a steady income, he avoids unnecessary spending. Every month, he saves. No reckless decisions, no gambling, no financial chaos. Just consistency. And for a while, it feels good, responsible, in control. But over time, something starts to feel off. Despite doing everything correctly, Daniel isn't getting ahead. Rent increases, groceries cost more, unexpected expenses show up. The money he saves doesn't stretch as far as it used to. Opportunities like buying a home or investing start to feel further away, not closer. And eventually, a quiet question forms. If I'm doing everything right, why does it feel like I'm falling behind? If you've ever felt this way, even slightly, take a second to like the video, because what we're about to break down is something most people experience, but very few fully understand. One of the biggest reasons behind this feeling is something simple: inflation. Inflation just means that over time, money tends to buy less than it used to. This isn't a theory, it's a widely accepted part of how modern economies function. In fact, central banks in countries like the US, UK, and across Europe generally aim for steady, moderate inflation over time. Why? Because a growing economy typically comes with gradually rising prices. So what does that actually mean for Daniel? Let's say he saves money in a basic savings account. The number in his account increases, but the real value of that money? It depends on whether it grows faster than prices. And in many cases, especially with low-interest savings accounts, it doesn't. So even though Daniel is saving, he's not necessarily moving forward. He's maintaining, or in some cases, very slowly losing ground. And the system doesn't announce this loudly. It happens quietly, over time. Now let's layer something else on top. Daniel earns income from his job, and like most people in developed economies, that income is taxed. In countries like the US, UK, and Canada, income tax systems are generally progressive, which means as income increases, the percentage paid in tax often increases too. So Daniel's financial cycle looks like this: work, earn, pay taxes, save what's left. Again, this isn't unfair. It's simply how modern systems are structured, but it creates an important reality. Earned income is one of the most heavily taxed forms of income. Meanwhile, other forms of financial growth, like long-term investing, are often treated differently within tax systems. Not always better, not always worse, but different. And those differences matter over time. Now let's look at someone else. Sarah. Sarah doesn't ignore saving. She still keeps money aside for stability, for emergencies, but she doesn't rely on saving as her main strategy. Instead, she focuses on something else: ownership. She looks for ways to acquire assets. Assets are things that can grow in value over time, generate income, or both. Examples include broad market investments, real estate, businesses, index funds. This isn't about chasing trends or taking reckless risks. It's about understanding how growth tends to happen within modern economies. If this is the first time you're seeing money explained this way, that's a good sign. It means you're starting to see how the system actually works. And if you want more clear, practical breakdowns like this, subscribe to The Thinking Economy. Because once you understand how money really moves, you stop guessing and start thinking differently. Now here's where things get interesting. and also where most people get uncomfortable. Because Sarah does something Daniel avoids. She sometimes uses debt. Not recklessly, not blindly, not without understanding the risks, but strategically. Most people are taught debt equals bad. And in many situations, that's true. But in financial systems, debt is also a tool. People use mortgages to buy property. Businesses use loans to expand. Investors sometimes use capital to access opportunities earlier. The key idea is simple. Debt isn't good or bad on its own. Its outcome depends on how it's used. And this is where everything connects. Modern financial systems tend to reward ownership of assets, participation in growth, and strategic use of capital, not just saving. Saving protects money, but ownership grows it, and the system is structured in a way that often favors growth. So when people say the system rewards debt, what they're really seeing is something deeper, not debt itself, but what debt can give access to. Now let's step back and compare both approaches clearly. Daniel focuses on saving. He keeps his money in low-risk, low-growth environments. He prioritizes safety. He avoids debt almost completely. And because of that, his financial life feels stable, but slow. Sarah takes a broader approach. She still saves, but not as the end goal. She focuses on acquiring assets, participating in growth, thinking long-term, and when it makes sense, she uses capital, sometimes even borrowed capital, to access opportunities earlier. Daniel is focused on preserving money. Sarah is focused on deploying money. And in modern economies, money that is only preserved often struggles to keep up, while money that is deployed carefully has the potential to grow. Now, this is important because this is where things can easily be misunderstood. Not all debt is the same, and treating all debt as equal is where a lot of confusion begins. Now, there's one type of debt that quietly keeps people stuck, and it's what most people are dealing with, which is called consumer or high-risk debt. This includes credit card debt without a clear repayment plan, financing things that lose value quickly, spending without any form of return. This type of debt often comes with high interest, doesn't generate income, and can compound problems over time. And in many cases, it's financially damaging. On the other hand, some forms of debt are used differently, such as strategic or productive debt. They are typically linked to acquiring assets, connected to long-term value or income potential, and managed with clear planning and risk awareness. Examples might include financing a business, purchasing property with long-term intent, investing in something expected to produce returns over time. But even here, there are no guarantees. Markets fluctuate. Assets don't always perform. Timing matters. So the goal isn't to glorify debt, it's to understand it. Debt is not a shortcut to wealth. It's a tool. And like any tool, used correctly, it can build something. Used poorly, it can cause damage. Now when you zoom out, you start to see the full picture. Modern financial systems tend to reward ownership of assets, participation in economic growth, and strategic use of capital over time. Because when you own assets, you're not just saving money, you're positioning yourself within the system. Daniel is doing what feels safe, but his strategy keeps him at the outside of growth, dependent on earned income, vulnerable to rising costs over time. Sarah, on the other hand, is participating in how the system expands, not perfectly, not without risk, but in alignment with how growth actually happens. If this perspective is helping you see money differently, take a moment to like the video. And more importantly, comment below, save or invest. I'm curious what your current approach is. So what does all of this actually mean for you? It doesn't mean stop saving. Saving is still important. It gives you stability, flexibility, protection against uncertainty. But in most developed economies today, saving alone is rarely enough to build long-term financial progress. A more balanced approach often includes saving for security, investing for growth, understanding risk, not avoiding it completely, and thinking long-term, not just month to month. Instead of asking, how much am I saving? A better question becomes, what is my money actually doing? because money that sits still tends to lose ground over time, quietly, gradually, almost invisibly. But money that's deployed with intention has the potential to grow. And once you understand that difference, you stop relying on a single strategy. You stop playing defense all the time, and you start thinking in terms of systems. If this changed how you see money, even slightly, subscribe to the Thinking Economy, because this channel is built to help you see the systems most people never notice, so you can make better decisions inside them.